Hello and welcome to News 6. Today's program is brought to you by Mrs. Scare's 6th grade class at Plaza Elementary School in Van Wert, Ohio. Later on in the show, we'll talk to a ham radio operator, tour the first county library in the United States, and visit a racetrack. But first, let's hear about a man who likes to go up, up, and away.
Steve Loddick is a jeweler by trade, but 6 years ago, he began to pursue a new and unusual hobby. In his spare time, his thoughts soar, and so does Mr. Loddick. News 6 visited him and learned how a hot air balloon gets off the ground.
My name's Steve Loddick, and I'm from here in Van Wert, and I have a balloon that I operate a little business with. I give rides and things like that, and what I want to do this morning is show you guys how it works. How many of you ever seen the balloon before? Boy, just about all of you. Ever seen it go up? You ever been here when we inflated it? Well, I'll tell you a little bit about how we do that. I know a lot of people don't have any idea how it gets up in the air, but what we do is we take the basket off the truck here, hook up the burner. This is where the fire comes from that gives the hot air that makes the balloon go up. And in this bag in the truck, we have the envelope that the balloon is, and we pull the balloon out. Always take it downwind because that's the way you're going to be going when you fly away. You lay the balloon out, and then you take this fan over here on the truck and you blow it up with cold air. Well, to make the balloon go up, what we have to do is add heat. The reason that you add the heat, as probably you all know, the hot air is lighter than the cold air. So inside the envelope, we trap all this hot air in the bag, and since that hot air inside the bag is lighter than all the air on the outside, the bag wants to go up. And as it goes up, since it's attached to the carriage here, it pulls the carriage up with it.
For those who enjoy reading as a hobby, the Brumbeck Library offers over 80,000 volumes. The Brumbeck Library, which opened in January 1901, looks more like a castle. Gothic and Romanesque architecture give this building an impressive appearance, with its recessed arched doorways, towers, and pointed windows. According to the director of the library, Mr. Wilson Dupree, this type of architecture, while unusual in the Midwest, is quite common in the eastern United States. The gentleman responsible for the library was a banker named John S. Brumbeck. In his will, he left the land, which was originally a city dump, along with the necessary money to build a library to serve the needs of this once rural community. Libraries constructed at the turn of the century were built to last, and today almost everything in the Brumbeck Library is original, including the mosaic floor that took Italian workmen 4 weeks to lay by hand. Handmade oak tables and the original front desk are still in use. The beautifully carved ceilings are also characteristic of the architecture of this period. One of the most unique features of the library is the glass floor in the balcony. The balcony was added in 1915 to provide more space for the growing collection of books. The panes of glass that make up this floor are 3/4 of an inch thick and are translucent to let the light through. The people of Van Wert are proud of this interesting and historic site that has served them so well.
What started out as a hobby has turned into a full-time job for Mr. Dale Lotzenheiser. Mr. Lotzenheiser, who started out as a ham radio operator, is now Director of Disaster Services in Van Wert. He talked with News 6 and explained how his office serves the needs of community in times of emergency.
We will put the information out as to whether there's going to be storms or tornadoes. Maybe every once in a while you've had it that they've held the school buses up for 20 minutes or so. Well, that information usually comes from this office here. and I can put that out, and it goes to all the schools and the hospitals, nursing homes, and so forth. And then we have the amateur radio, which is this unit here. Like I said, it looks similar to a CB. In fact, we have a CB base there. Hey, we talk on it to our fellow amateurs, whether men, women, HER and W8IBE and BD. That's W8FY. If something had come through here and I thought it was going to affect Defiance or Findlay, or even to the point that it does not affect me, but I pick up this information and so forth, and I can alert them through amateur radio. I've been an amateur since 1963, so I guess that's 20 years. The thing that got me interested in it is my father was an amateur. And one other thing that our disaster services, we own 2 repeater systems. They are run by 12-volt battery at all times with a battery charger, so the power can go off for 24 hours and we're still on the air. So it's really a emergency type communication setup. So in our particular situation here, the city police department does monitor the Dayton weather service 24 hours a day, and then I carry a pager. I am on call with them, find out what is going on. I would notify the news media of why they were blowing, and then rely on the news media to keep the updates to the public.
Some people go to the races for a hobby. News 6 recently visited with Mark Dickinson, who trains and races horses in harness racing. One of his horses recently won $2,500 in a horse race called the Little Brown Jug in Delaware, Ohio. Mark and his brother Lewis own about 70 harness horses and race them in different county fairs. Mark told News 6 about the care and training of these horses.
How do you train a horse to race?
We start when like they're 2 years old. Then we have to break them. You know, they don't really like harness when you first start out. After you get them broke, then we just start building them up. It's just all endurance.
How do you care for these horses?
Got them on a schedule to feed them. Like we feed them twice a day, and clean their stalls every day, and brush them every day. Jog them. We jog them 6 days a week and let them have Sunday off. And we train twice a week when we get to training.
Could you explain what the driver does?
Well, training and stuff, it's just keeping between the fences. And when we're training, we work them down. We start like at around 3 minutes, and we work them down to 250, 230, and on down. In a horse race, you just rate the horse, and you're moving when you're supposed to move. Like when we race in single file, like to the half. And then it just depends on when you move the horse, when you pull him to go, go around somebody.
Thank you, Mark. This has been Kim Bolton
And Kelly Miller reporting for News 6.
That's all for today. We hope you've enjoyed the show and will join us next week when News 6 will visit Fort Wayne, Indiana. Have a good week.